we go.
My sisters, we're burning, but not in that fire. The spirals at hand, where we love, rule, and flower our world into life. It's our time to inspire, my sisters. We're burning, but not in that fire. Our witchy souls fly home to truth and desire. We're turning at last in our own sacred fire, my sisters. We're burning, but not in that fire. The spirals at hand, where we gather and flower.
Thank you. Thank you, Annie. Welcome, everybody, to this week's episode of Goddess Matters. I'm here with my regular co-hostess, Dr. Andrea Slominski. Hello, Dr. Andrea.
Hello, Dr. A.
Today we are
Which
joined
one?
Today we're joined by two incredible women fixtures in the goddess spirituality movement. We have Caryn MacGrandle. She's the foundress of the Divine Feminine app. If you don't know it, go check it out. Sign up. You can find out everything about everything going on and everyone going on in the world of goddess spirituality. And also Dr. Annie Finch, who just read us this beautiful poem. I think it was your poem, right, Annie? Yeah.
Yes.
She is a poetess, a performer, and a speaker, and a ritualist. So welcome. If you want to find out more about the Divine Feminine app and also Annie's work, you can go into the YouTube text box where we'll have their bios and the links. And yeah, and follow, join, etc. So today we have a conversation that I think is very prescient, very relevant. Well, we all feel that way for all of us in the goddess spirituality movement, especially now more than ever. And that is the subject of why we need goddess communities. Why now? What are they and why now? And this was a topic that Caryn and Annie brought to us that they wanted to really speak to. So I think we should just jump right off and have you two kind of start us off and why now and why the goddess?
You want to go first, Danny?
Why now? Because pretty much every woman I know is lonely, miserable, honestly. And I feel we are matriarchal creatures. We're a species that is tribal and that is for millennia matriarchal. We are women are meant to be living in groups, and men are supposed to be living in groups around women who are living in groups. And our entire society is inside out. We've got the men in the middle, and the men are separated from each other, and so the women become separated from each other. And we are all at the end of our rope. We can see the species, the planet is all on the verge of destruction. It's just reached a point of crisis, beyond crisis. So yeah, and why the goddess? Because the goddess answers all of the problems just like that, and goddess arises in the community among us and between us, and it's not something that you go and make a coffee date on your phone in order to catch up with the goddess once every couple of weeks. No, you need her in your fucking life every minute, every day. Why not? You need space for the synchronicities, the serendipities, the imminence, the 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 folk spirituality that lives in us every minute. That's how
Mm,
we're meant to be. We are a
mm,
spiritual species.
mm, mm.
So,
I love that. Yeah, it's not a Sunday. It's not a 1 hour a week Sunday event.
yeah,
One retreat a
without
year, ladies. That's it. That's all you get. Yeah.
without the community, how can you get that? It's
Yeah. And you've been building community specifically, Karen, for what, 10 years now?
Well, that's probably where I would start, is because I, like so many of us, like Annie said, had this, come to the mother moment where I found myself, not thriving, just surviving through each day. And through that, I found women's circles. Through women's circles, she found me, the goddess. wasn't something I set out to do, but I found the magic of women's circles, and I would somehow it work in a goddess, and all of a sudden she'd be everywhere in my life. And all of a sudden, I needed that archetype in my life. I needed that strength. I needed that story. And the more I pulled that thread, the more it came, And, now 10 years later, my app has almost 12,000 people. And I would say most of the people who came are women who heard this too. They heard, she tapped them on the shoulder, like you all, the scholars, the ones who, are doing this work, the counselors, the ones who are making the courses, the ones who are hosting the circles, all of this. And, a lot of it has been online. And I think we were kind of maybe given this opportunity in this good bad way that the world has that after COVID, everything became online and we figured out how to connect, all of us. We figured out how to get online and do circles and get online and do courses and get online and learn more. But I think right now, everybody has gotten rather tired and overwhelmed with everything online. It's just too much. And I had a point with the app where I was like, oh my God, another course. I'm like, another blog, another course, another, another. And I guess I was feeling, why can't we all work together and go farther? But then I realized we are. We really are. And the absolute gorgeous beauty of another course, another podcast, another book, another offering.
What I love about you, Caryn, in your spiritual leadership of this community through the Divine Feminine app is that you are always pushing it towards the towards where we really need to go. You know what I mean? So it's like you built this amazing app, then you built this like Hinneh resource library of divine feminine scholarship, and now when you started talking about, Caryn started talking about like we need actual communities, and she started this Slack channel to get women talking to each other about living in real places, and then she found this land she calls Motherwell in Alabama and started, getting women together to go and everything, and I was just so excited because she's doing the thing, she's bringing us into real life. Like most people get stuck in a certain thing, but you're like driving forward. And so, can you tell us that story about Motherwell and what happened?
You're so sweet to me, Annie. I started the app and I really wanted it to be a place where we could put people together. I saw online, like on Facebook posts, where people would talk about circles and coming together in person. Because I've always been like in person. Get off your computer, get in person. It's so much more stronger. And I saw this kind of women's circles in every neighborhood, and I wanted the app to be the equivalent of, God, I can't even remember it now. I said this the other day to you, Annie, that it was like whatever.com, those horrible dating
Or
things.
meet up or
Yeah,
something?
whatever. I
Or
wanted it to
Tinder?
be a circles.com. I
Not
wanted
goddess.
it to bring together actual people, and people weren't ready. I mean, I've seen that over the years that people have not been ready. But I also see right now, you hear so much talk about community. And, I really feel like that's where it's at. That's how we save the world. That's how we get out of our head with all this horrible stuff that we see online day after day after day after, is actual people. But that little missing edge to it is what the goddess brings.
What do we mean when we say the word community? Because I think it's really easy to talk about like, wanting to have a goddess circle. Okay, yeah, we can create that. But what does it mean? Is there a responsibility as a member of a community? Does it mean that is there a responsibility in
Yeah.
listening and and my own gifts that I'm bringing and witnessing? I mean, what are we talking about when we say
It's
community?
a it's a word that gets thrown around so much, right? Like people talk about, the Facebook community or businesses refer to their customers as a community all the time nowadays. And but so I think it's really important to pull it back into what we really need it to be. And for me, it has to be co-living. I mean, I have a goddess circle. I've been to goddess conferences many times who create this incredible community for like a week and then everybody goes away and it's gone. And so for me, I really mean actual living, like moving in together, like co-housing. There's a whole movement, of course, now for co-living. There's this great
Yeah.
Substack called Super Nuclear that is all about living in intentional community, but it never talks about a goddess community ever or gender in any way. And so to me, it's actually moving in together and, sharing or maybe even living within walking distance, I guess. It could be little houses or tree houses as long as you can walk. That's the key to me.
So I wonder in talking about this, and I've seen a lot of chatter also, Caryn, about this on online in different online communities, in threads a lot too, is women talking about, let's go, let's buy some land and let's live together and that kind of a thing. And it really seems that in some ways it's women who are in what I'd call regency or the just at menopause or post-menopause who are really ready to recreate something, who have, if they've had partners and they've raised children and they've had careers, are ready to move into some sort of a next phase of life. um, I know that there are communities or there are families or individuals or single mothers in younger generations who are also interested in living in a more sustainable community environment. But it seems to me that most of the call for this is coming from older women.
Yeah, I have a, oh, sorry. Um,
No, no,
I was just
I'm just
generally
like,
commenting.
interesting. Yeah.
So because I think I have a little bit different take on this because it's really been something that I have put a lot of thought into, and I think, just my upbringing. I grew up in Plano, Texas. It was a suburb of Dallas, and it started at like 80,000, and then it had corporate headquarters, and it exploded to the millions. And everybody was rootless. Everybody came from somewhere else. You didn't know your neighbor. There was no accountability. Your parents were at work and you just went and did your own thing and there was nobody to tell on you, you know? And I've done a lot of thinking over the years about community. And I worked at in between, after my divorce, needed the insurance, worked part-time at a convenience store. And it was so funny because kind of for almost the first time in my life, I saw like this. This was like a little small town. The same people came in every day. And you didn't necessarily like these people, but it gave you this sense of it rooted you to have so and so come in. And the person I worked with would tell me their story in the back, and you just say hi and how's the whatever. I gave you this sense. So when I say goddess community, and it might be different than what I am looking for is to actually build a community full of people. Just, this person, that person, but then put together um, half a dozen, I don't know how many, of us. These people that get, what this is and providing a spiritual anchor. That's what I see is missing. Like it said, I heard somebody say, well, the left, is missing a spiritual center. And that, I don't know who I was talking to about that. We were like, the goddess. The goddess is that
Uh,
spiritual center. That's where she's needed. And
yeah.
I had, at one point I was like, well, in modern day world, we can't go back to, temples and the ancient world of. But I think that's why you need a goddess community of people that are like us and feel this calling and this, know the herstory behind this and can work together to provide some of these tools to the people in the community, embodiment tools, respect for cycles, respect for nature, respect for the land, respect for each other.
Yeah.
Um, and just, backing it up just a little bit before I stop, Annie, I had known online for, a decade doing this work and through the app, and I had known of her work. But we didn't get a chance to meet until we went to ASWIM, the Association for the Study of Women and Mythology, and they had their annual gathering in Arizona. And Annie was in charge of the Saturday night ritual. And that was the first time in person I got to meet Annie. And oh my God. And you know what? Oh my God, that's. I talked to her about it later, and she was like, "Yeah, we didn't even really plan it because the bottom line is you put six of us together, you don't need to plan it. The magic happens."
Hmm.
That's
And
right.
it was like, we were chanting. She had us divided into two groups. Then we did a ritual, and it was gorgeous. It was beautiful. It was meaningful.
It was,
Uh, Sorry, go ahead. Yeah.
oh,
Go ahead.
thank you. I just want to say that back to Dr. Andrea, right?
Mhm.
Andrea. Andrea's point about the older women, the elder women leading, I was, I've always thought, sort of imagined this multi-generational mishmash of everybody together. And then Caryn has been, as we've been talking about it, preparing for this show, I've noticed Caryn saying a few times, Caryn, tell me if this is right, that you imagine like a core group of women who are like the priestesses, who will be like meeting regularly and bringing others along. And this reminded me of what I've read in like of those wonderful novels by Mary Mackey, where she had Maria Gimbutas approve them, and they were novels like the Year the Horses Came is one of them, describing how people lived in those matriarchal times, and it was an age hierarchy. And Heidi Gutner Abendroth also talks about the age hierarchy, and it is the elder women who are like leading it, but that doesn't mean they'll be the only ones there. So the elder women lead, the younger women who are so busy with the children come along, they bring their men, and then you have a complete community. Like it seems that this is the natural way that human communities are designed to be, with elder women kind of holding the tradition, holding the past and the future, and it seems very appropriate that that would happen.
Yeah,
So,
a
and I
return
said,
to a village, except some of us are working remote jobs and we're professionals and, all different types of things. But at the end of the day, we have a red tent to go into and take our feet off and rub each other's shoulders and tell her, and the men have some initiation rites, which are sorely lacking with men. And we're recognizing the cycles in nature, and under a full moon, we're gathering and we've got a fire and drumming going on, and all of these things that I believe really are needed in our culture right now.
yeah, and maybe
Definitely.
people need,
Yeah, and I'm glad you brought up the point about the men too, because that hadn't come in yet. Because I think obviously, um, a cohesive community that in which the kind that we're talking about, you can't have all women's communities, obviously, but I think to have the mass world change that we're looking for, there needs to
Mm.
be a place for men also to, you know, be held, be seen, to
yeah,
find new meaning,
and to
to
keep the
create new
women
meaning.
happy who want men around.
Yes, and to keep men around when we want them. So I'm glad that we're creating like a spaciousness or a place for them as well in this goddess community we're envisioning and talking about. And just to kind of circle back or keep circling around this point of the elder women, or the regent women, as you name them, Andrea, like I see a lot of women, especially on TikTok, talking about matriarchy now and this and that, and a lot of them, like, goddess bless their like, their passion and stuff. I don't think they know. A lot of times, I don't know what their actual knowledge base is in actual, matriarchal studies and what that would actually look like. And sometimes I'm on there and I'm like, there's a lot of responsibility that comes with being a part of any community, but especially a matricentric community that really asks that of all the members to be, responsible in ways that maybe modernity doesn't ask of us. Because someone else is emptying the trash or
Yeah,
someone else is doing kind
right,
of the dirty work,
right,
right?
right.
Um, and so I wonder, I feel like my feeling is that this is really the place for the elder regent women who have been in the movements for a long time, who have the life experience to lead the charge into this goddess community that we're talking about, or the creation of it, and to bring, maybe mentor with assistance and with the inspiration of the younger women who are interested but may not have as much of the life experience and or the knowledge system of what that would look like. So it does seem like the elder women play like a central role in the creation
Yeah.
of this
And I
community.
think it could be a win-win too. Like as I mentioned before, this super nuclear Substack, Super Nuclear, which is great, very useful, and it's very practical. It has a lot of good advice about how to start actual community and taking out the trash and all that. But as I said, they never talk about gender. And I even threw in a comment, like I wrote to them all and they didn't even answer it. But they always say these mysterious things like, oh, yes, this was this great community, and then the community fell apart. And I was wondering, okay, well, how was that? Was it a bunch of guys and their girlfriends, and the girlfriends never really cared, or they didn't have any spiritual center? Like, I imagine these are the reasons it falls apart. And so I think that if the people who are looking for alternative community now everywhere, and they're usually, a lot of men are involved, if they actually understood the power of regent women and the power of matriarchy in building real community that lasts, and the importance of the goddess to this, because as we know from Heidi Gutner-Abendroth, a matriarchal culture, it has, according to her, 4 characteristics. I think there's a 5th, but I won't go into that. But it's consensus decision making, and the gift economy, and the matrilineal family, and the worship of the divine feminine. So if they would actually understand that, their communities might last better and be better for everyone. So I think that a lot of the problems and issues that intentional communities encounter among a group of goddess connected women are not going to be such a big problem. They're not going to be a big fucking deal. In fact, I imagine, the women I know and I would have fun resolving these issues, and it's not like a problem. So it would be, I think, a win-win for our entire culture right now.
Totally. I love that. Fun. Having fun solving problems. I like that.
Otherwise, they would never get solved in my life. I don't have time not to have fun.
There's not enough time left to suffer, right? Yeah.
No more time for suffering. No,
That's
no.
right.
I have no time for suffering, like bad
As
theater. No time
Sappho
for
said
suffering
that.
or bad theater.
Yes.
That's right.
You know what
Sappho has a
I'm
wonderful
thinking?
little poem about that.
Yeah, what I'm thinking is I see people talking about actually buying land together. I see posts about mature women buying and rehabbing convents in Britain and living together and in community, and I see groups of women, looking at buying property and building tiny homes on it, or building community that way, or whatever. And I think that's awesome. I keep telling Annalisa I want to win the lottery so I can buy an old chateau somewhere and rehab it and have all the fabulous artistic women come and live in residence. But that dream aside, I think there's something really imminent going on, which speaks to what you ladies had said in the opening, with these last desperate cornered swipes of patriarchy culturally, and that people are suffering and they're either retreating or withdrawing, or they're looking for alternative ways of dealing with what's happening. Some people are just completely tuning out. I mean, I think that the matrilineal and matriarchal and goddess culture has even a covert hand to lend to people in some ways, with the gift of love and acceptance and new ways of thinking and new ways of being and fun problem solving, right? In what's going on culturally, because as enlightened as we might like to think ourselves to be, we are a really tiny minority of women, right? Who are looking at something and saying, look, the answer's right in front of us.
That's
right?
all it takes. Remember what Margaret Mead said? The only thing that's ever changed the world is a small group of committed people.
Right. And so I'm just wondering, in terms of when we're talking about community, like how you see, Caryn, like how do these communities actually form in their interactions and in their, just by paths crossing at the convenience store? I mean, how do you actually see this happening?
The logistics of it. Yeah. And
Mm.
that's I bought 10 acres of land on what Annie was talking about, Motherwell, in between Tennessee and North Carolina on the border. And I foresaw building there and perhaps tiny homes and because right now too I mean we're in crisis. Our culture is in crisis. And if people don't realize that, I mean, you've got housing, you've got healthcare, you've got grocery prices, you've got gas, you've got isolation, you've got politics, I mean, pick something, it's not working,
Hmm.
So I mean, we really, really need to give alternatives and
Well, when you put it in those broad terms, I see how the goddess work and the work that women like us do as offering respite for the soul, enlargement for the soul, understanding for the psyche, both male and female. But in but with all the trauma going on that you just listed, right?
yeah. Well,
But it also,
It's hard for people to, I think it's I think it's going to be a hard, I'm not sure how to go about all this, is
it's
what I'm saying.
cheaper. It's
well,
cheaper, isn't it? Like I saw an article in the Times this morning
Mhm.
about how young people can no longer get independent from their families when they're 20s. And why does everyone think they have to have their own apartment? Like why aren't the younger people
well,
who are feeling, or everybody who's feeling the financial pinch think, oh, we could pool our
Well, it
money and
always
live
used to be
together.
multi-generational living, and
Right.
it always worked,
Right.
right?
And
Yeah,
it doesn't have to be biological. It can be chosen matricentric
Right.
community.
yeah,
And it's a win-win for your wallet as well. Like
yeah.
it's practical.
Well,
It's
I look
completely
at
practical.
someone like me who's like very activated by city life, right? Like I love all the activities, the culture, the mixture of different cultures, the theater, all that, and foods, everything like that. So, like, as torn as I feel about, like, oh, yes, I would love this kind of co-living goddess community and like your property, your Motherwell property. And how could I satiate that need of mine to
Well, and
be in
I
that
There
kind of
are
I
there
would
are
think
many
it would be
urban
different,
ones.
right? I mean, there's a co-living in outside of San Francisco,
right?
again,
It
it
is,
didn't have a goddess base to it, and I think that's what's missing.
yeah.
But I
Yeah.
also want to say that something I have come to just lately is this acceptance that it's fucking messy. There's nothing we can do about it. The women I know, you all, me, I've got, 11,000 other people that, we've been doing this for years. And we've, I used to have this ideal. Well, if I just try hard enough, I'll find these people. I'll make that perfect circle. I'll make that perfect community. And I've kind of said, maybe not, maybe not. But the thing is that I can keep my dreams. And in fact, I told Annie this that, I had a weekend at Motherwell and I wanted it to be, to attract women like you all. I wanted it to be this, not a large one, just a few. And it ended up being my family and friends, and they're not very goddessy people. And that's okay. It was that community aspect. And
I was gonna come and
something
then you
that got,
canceled it. I was gonna
pardon?
come and then you canceled it and then you didn't
Yeah.
come. So
Well,
I think it
I
was,
said
in other words, it
nobody, this
worked out
wouldn't,
perfectly
yeah.
because I couldn't have anyway. But
The thing that
But
gives me hope about all of this, like the messiness and everything, and Annalisa and I have talked about this a number of times. I've been at this, like, for a long time, like all of you have. And I really feel that, in the beginning, I had all this dream of that, what was going to happen and what I was going to be a part of forming and what was going to, and I've come to realize that, like the women whose shoulders I stand on, I am putting one, maybe two, if I'm lucky, three bricks in the foundation
yes,
of
Mhm.
keep
of the
moving,
new
keep
myth
dreaming.
that's going to eventually emerge,
Yes.
and that it's going to have a, if to me, the primary driver of all of this is, if we don't get a handle on climate change, none of the rest, there's going to be no social justice if there's no food and water. There's going to be no health care if nations collapse. There's going to be no education if nations collapse. And that if we get to 4 or 5 degrees, even 3 degrees of climate warming worldwide, the food system on the world is going to collapse on the globe.
I but
So,
I
so,
sorry.
so in my opinion, I think I feel like I'm doing the foundational work that I can do, and I'm doing the activist work that I can do, and I have to just trust in the collective energy of Psyche, Anima Mundi, the goddess, and all of it, that it's going to go in the direction that it's supposed to go
Well,
in.
if you're talking about climate change, having an urban collective, as Annalisa was mentioning, makes a lot of sense. And there are plenty of them. They're just not goddess centered. And I live in Brooklyn, and but I just want to quickly share a couple of my failure stories because I mean, I tried to get all my best friends. Like, I've been thinking about this for 20 years, wanting this so bad, feeling, and my poor husband, he's like, you want to live in a separatist lesbian commune? I was like, no, I don't. I want you to
Yeah.
be there too.
Okay.
And, and,
You could be a lesbian with me.
yeah, exactly. And it's like, no, it's not separatist. Ah! And he's still waiting for me to be sure, but honestly, I now think that he would come along with me if I was serious. And so for a long time, I was afraid because I felt like I had to choose between my heterosexual marriage and this community. And so finally, I now feel it's okay to do both. But then it was like, who am I going to live with? Well, it's got to obviously be my best friends. Only problem is none of them are into it. They all have other family obligations in other parts of the world. So
Mhm.
it's like, then I finally was reading with Supernuclear. They're like, don't worry, it doesn't have to be your best friend. It just has to be a good enough person, like, a neighbor priced person. And then the other myth is that it had to be in the country. So I actually went to France. I spent all this crazy money to go to France and look at this chateau that had a goddess temple in it. And I found a couple of people who said they wanted to be part of this community. And then I was like, no, first of all, it's in the middle of nowhere. You can't walk anywhere. It's got to be walkable. Second of all, the people wouldn't even know each other, and it just wouldn't be organic. So Super Nuclear has a lot of great advice, like starting with potlucks in your neighborhood and getting people into it that way. But the other thing is it totally can be urban, and I think I might actually do it now in New York City, even if I do.
Oh, that's cool. That's
So yeah.
cool. I just wanted to add on to tack on to what you said, Andrea, that I feel what you're saying is actually adding to the urgency of the moment, adding to the need to do this now, as Caryn, you have so like, you know, um, powerfully stated. So I think, yeah, I think, yeah, I think we're giving examples of actually why we need this right now. Not like, oh, it's going to be so hard. Like, okay, it doesn't, like you said, it's going to be messy. It's going to be hard. Let's do it anyway. And just, know that there's going to be a lot of failures along the way.
And it's
Um,
going to be
No,
fun too.
I just we're planting seeds, and I wake up every morning and tell myself that person who we shall not name and all of his cronies and all of everybody else that we are seeing, this is the time when the great rock goes up and we see all the creepy crawly things underneath. And that's shining a light, and it's giving way for a new breed of politician like Mandami, like these other people that are coming forward and caring about people, doing the things that governance is actually supposed to do, And I'm not saying we don't need to do all the other things, the activism, definitely. We have to keep doing that, but we also have to keep that belief that this is paving the world. And when that world, I see it so clearly right now, the other one is crumbling. There's got to be something there, and it's you and
we
I.
Something has to be there to fill the void, or else it's going to be mayhem and chaos and more dictatorships. So we
That's right.
have to be ready with a powerful alternative.
I
Exactly.
just feel a deep knowing that this is my life's work. This is my life's calling. This is why I'm here. This is what I've been doing the last 10 years. And I don't have to see the end. I have to see the next step. I don't have
Right.
to see the absolute particulars of a goddess community. I have to know what's in my heart, and I have to reach out and connect with other people that have the same dream and vision.
And we do
Right.
have practical steps in mind. Like, practical steps, one foot after the other. Like, what if these, Karen, what if these are like revolutionary little seeds that we plant all around in different places? You know what I mean? And just even if it's a seed of like two or three goddess-minded women who are serious about this and starting to do potlucks together, and then you add one more, and before you know it you have enough money to go in on a house together or whatever. But like, what the Divine Feminine app, it now has this thing called the local web, where anyone can go on there and say, okay, I wanted to start this community where I live, right? And
And
so,
can,
and then everyone, can find them and say the same, and then you can get in touch that way. And the other resource people have right now for goddess mattress-centered community is, on my Substack. I'm going to be posting some things about it, which is anniefinch.substack.com or whatever it is, however you spell it. And then I'm also going to be writing about it on on Karen's divinefeminine.app.com website, and just give us like best practices and stuff like that. And so I'm hoping that either on the Substack or on the blog, it'll be a place for conversation where people who actually want to do this can start to share best practices,
Right.
and and ask questions. And then on the Divine Feminine app local web, they can actually connect with the people in their community who are doing it.
yeah,
So
and I just
yeah.
I want to add because this is why we need each other, and this is why I really believe we go further, stronger, faster together. I'm talking to Annie about all this, and she's like, I wish there was a way that we could connect like that on the local level. And I'm like, the app is the way. And she's not the only one. I've had this conversation with so many people. I'm like, that's what the app does. It puts you together geographically. And then we were discussing this, and she's like, but I don't want to be the app has two sections. You put in your featured event, which goes out in a newsletter. And then the other section was a circle host, which stays on forever. And she's like, but I don't want to be a circle host. I'm not really feeling right now opening my house up to
I already
strangers.
have another circle. It's
Yeah,
full.
it's a lot. It's a lot, And I get that. I'm not either at the moment. And I'm like, oh, so we just within the last 3 days, I'm like, okay, because I don't just put circle host on there. I put sacred sites. I put metaphysical stores. I put lots of things that you can go in and see what's in the area that like this.
So you can connect
And
with
so we changed
like-minded.
it. Yeah, we changed just a simple thing from Circle Host to the local web.
Mm, mm.
And it's going to be big. I know that. I know it. And thank you, Annie.
You're so welcome. Thank you, Karen. So we are doing real things. We are doing real things. And it's Karen, I swear, thanks to your leadership, because I've been
It,
festering around with this for so long, thinking about it. And then you're like, I'm doing, I keep saying to my husband, Karen, she's doing it. She's doing something. She's actually doing something.
yeah, but
So great.
I need people because I'm not detailed oriented, and sometimes I jump before I'm like, holy shit, I'm falling. Where's
It
my
takes all of
parachute?
us. It takes
I
all of
forgot
us.
that.
And I think you need some volunteers to help you with some of your projects too, because they're big. Some of them are big projects, like the
The
Hinneh
Hinneh,
library. Yeah.
yes, yes. Oh, and I was
Volunteers,
going to
and
invite
people.
you in, Annalisa, because I know, and I know I have so much respect for women like you who have put this time and effort into studying and going through texts and discussing it, and but I at the same time. I don't want to discount all of those popular people on Instagram who just heard this call and put it out there. And I get it's a balance. It's a balance because you feel like maybe some of the information isn't
Well,
right.
sometimes it is flat out incorrect. Sometimes it is flat out incorrect, or like I think, okay, let me just say really quickly. I think the thing that frustrates me is that, aside from the fact that sometimes incorrect information is going out there, that like people are getting a lot of, not just exposure, that's fine, but with exposure comes financial reward on these apps. It can you can get financial reward. So if you're getting exposure and then financial reward based off of other people's blood, sweat, and tears, like Max Dashu, the famous,
Mm.
historian, women's and goddess historian, um, that's kind of where I start to have the issue. It's like you're making posts based on other goddess scholars' work. You might be crediting them, but it's like you're the one getting exposure, and then you're able to sell your own work, and you know
Yeah.
So you see the conflict for me. So I do
It's
Virality.
think it's really
messy.
Yeah.
It's like everything.
yeah.
Yeah.
But
Hmm.
still, if you look at the climate change that we're in and how badly the goddess is needed, I mean, you know, honestly, when if they start talking about matricentric community and that goes viral, and they start getting likes for that, I'll just be so glad because it's so good for the environment and for our souls that at a certain point, I just won't even care. It's like they can steal my work, they can steal everything.
Well, but
I want
you
this
still
change to
gotta pay
happen.
bills, and to me, it's kind of like if you look at Christianity, somebody can be a Christian, but they don't want to go to the seminary, and they don't want to be a priest or a minister, and they're not going to spend every week at a Bible study. So that's what I'm speaking of, is creating a goddess community where a goddess influence is in there, and a God influence can be in there too. The divine feminine is in every single
So can
religion.
we talk about what that would mean? Because you said to me this morning something like, "Do you think we should have a ritual every day?" And I'm like, "Fuck, I don't have time for that."
No,
So,
I didn't. I
what
was
would
kind of
a
like,
goddess
what?
community look like for all of us if we were in it? Like, what would an average day look like, I mean, it's because
I
I'm
would all these
lazy.
tips and tools. I mean, I had anxiety problems. I was on prescription drugs for it. I was, all of these tips and tools that I have learned these last 10 years. And then, yeah, we do need ritual. We do need ceremony.
Yeah.
Human beings need those.
Yeah.
But one
The
reason I
thing,
want to have a community is because I'm lazy and I want to be able to have a cup of tea with my roommate and have it turn into a goddess ceremony right there. I don't have to plan it, I don't have to think about it. It's just part of my what I breathe every day. Sorry, Andrea.
right, no, that's a good point. I was going to say, you know, oh, I was going off of what Annalisa was saying and about the idea of people, getting the idea of matrilineal out there and more people are getting, aware of it and everything. And I think I think there's an inherent risk and I don't know what to do about it. I address it when I teach. There's an inherent risk in certain things like goddess spirituality, that term, the term archetype, God help us all, has
Yes.
now been so uh, watered down that people talk about it and they don't know what the hell they're talking about, right? Talk, information on, oh, which goddess archetype are you? Are you the lover? Are you the warrior? I mean, come on. I mean, some of this stuff is like so bubblegum, and that when you're really talking about real real goddess spirituality that is grounded in the psyche, that is grounded in the soul, that, like Annie says, it is part of everything that you do every day, right? Now, everybody's not going to start there. I understand that. But we're also trying to do something very real and very powerful in a culture that's Harry Potterized everything.
I have a circle in here in Brooklyn of 10, 11 women now. And I think, well, now there are a couple of others, but at the beginning, I was the only one who had any experience with goddess stuff at all. And the first time I sat down with these two young women, and they were like, "We don't know what to do." And I was like, "Okay, we put a pillow on the floor, we light some candles, we sit around. Here's a talking piece, very beautiful." And we go counterclockwise. I always do it counterclockwise, and we just talk. And we did it. And I call it goddess raising circle because we circle around like 3 or 4 times, and by the end, we're all in goddess space together. And it happens
Mm.
all by itself. And now they're all like, they're all starting to get into it. They're getting, they're picking it up, but they started with the core. And I do feel that a lot of women, if not all, um, and femme people too, whatever. I mean, I don't want to get into, but it's like in so many of us have already this goddessness within us that it doesn't take, it takes hardly anything. And I think we feel like we have so far to go from A to Z, but actually it's like, it's like when if you've never drank water before and you're thirsty and you don't even know it until you taste the water. That's how it is when they enter the goddess
Mm,
circle. And I also think it
Mm.
might be that way with the matricentric community as well. Once we could
Yeah.
actually get it to physically happen, we would all just take to it just like the way we take to the circles, and it would just naturally arise. And, all those other things are like signals of people wanting it, but they're not even sure because they haven't experienced it yet. Most of us haven't had a chance.
Mm, mm.
Yeah, and I mean, my daughters, they haven't been into this, but they've heard my music over the years, and they've heard all my chants, my lyrics, and I catch them singing it. And instead of singing this bubblegum pop, I loved him and he didn't love me, and let's get drunk and screw or whatever was the popular lyrics. They're talking, they're singing Mother of Darkness, Mother of Light,
Would you sing that for us?
no, I cannot. I absolutely cannot.
I didn't know you wrote songs. You've been holding out, girlfriend.
Oh, I do. Yeah, I'm pretty much tone deaf, but I love to sing. I love to sing.
Oh,
Mm.
same.
Um,
I love tone deaf singers.
yes. And I think that's even part of the gathering is singing, but I'm not going to torture you all with it on here.
I think it
Um,
is because part of it is like finding your voice, right? Part of coming
yeah,
back to the goddess
yeah,
is finding your voice,
yeah.
setting it free. Yeah.
Mhm, mhm, mhm.
Through music, through speech, through all of it.
Well,
Yeah.
and this is the thing that I was going to say though, is with Christianity, you look at the great scholars of Christianity, and I was going to say that thing about, oh, we won't fight. We will fight. I mean, there's drama. I've seen so much drama over the years, and so much like people not. But the thing is learning how to handle conflict, learning how to handle disagreements, and still come to a compromise, still respect each other. That's what, if we can get to that, that's the really
That
important
makes
thing.
yeah,
And
that's
Mm.
you don't write like, I mean, there are some Christian scholars who have done this their whole lives and study these texts, and they don't expect, the person at the Bible study class to have the same understanding or knowledge that they do.
yeah,
That's why they've earned that. You've earned that, Annalisa.
yeah.
Other people I know,
Mm.
you've earned that.
Right.
But it doesn't discount somebody else from singing a song about.
And it's true about conflict. The friendships that I have where we've actually had a conflict and moved through it they've been tempered in the fire. Like they are
Yeah.
steel. They are so strong. Yeah,
But
yeah.
I think just to Andrea's point, I think one of the things that we can bring when we're helping to nurture and cultivate these communities is that deeper, that depth of the goddess, like how to take people from that surface level understanding to these deeper layers and nuances of not just goddess worship, but under like experiencing the goddess within, experiencing the goddess like everywhere. One of Andrea's key phrases she said on my show years ago was even goddesses suffer. Like, right? Like when you think of the word goddess in the culture, people, I think most people like think of Aphrodite or some kind of like a woman as like a sex pot. Like that's what we've reduced a goddess to.
Yeah.
But like the beauty of going to study goddesses from the depth psychological point of view is understanding that they're reflections of of all the aspects of what it means to be human.
Yeah.
And that's like really part of the goddess worship, I
That's
think,
so
that we can bring
beautiful.
forward.
So that by living in matricentric community, we can actually deepen our understanding of the goddess by feeling the depth of each other and the complexities of our relationships, and really getting a full sense of each other instead of just what we see, even in a weekly goddess circle or a monthly goddess circle, but really living together and feeling each other. When I see people when I've done various ceremonies like plant healing ceremonies from other cultures, etc. I mean, I just often think it's so powerful to do it with people you've been with for 5 days. Imagine doing it with people you've known your whole life. That's what I
Yeah.
want. I want my ritual to be so deep that because looking around and seeing the people I'm in ritual with are people I truly know. You know, that's nothing.
Oh my God.
It's like
That
the
made
difference
me
between
think
real
of
pasta and
something.
dried pasta.
Annie,
But
that made me think of something because when we go to these gatherings, we're kind of all going for the same thing, and we can put aside like our regular, I do this
yeah,
in my real life to pay my bills, and come into this and be fully there. But can you imagine a world where you can be fully there with your neighbor, with somebody else in your community? Oh my
exactly.
God. Oh my
Yeah,
God, Des, I
yeah,
got to get off the
yeah.
God.
There's a
God.
lot to be gained,
The power of that.
Yeah, exactly. It's
Mm.
not just that the goddess helps community, community helps the goddess.
Mm. Wow, that's a powerful statement. Community
Yeah.
helps the goddess. No, okay, so everybody at home, um, uh, Annie and Karen sent us a whole list of talking points here. So you mentioned something in here
We'll be
about
going for 2 more hours.
yeah, exactly. About
Why don't we
sovereignty
move
and
in together? Then we
Recap.
don't have to ever stop. I want to never
take,
stop.
taking the flight to where are you, Karen? No, don't tell people where you are. So, but you have something on here about sovereignty, the heart of goddess spirituality. So let's talk about that. What does that
Yeah,
mean?
that wasn't actually an important one because when I was talking and thinking about this, to me, sovereignty is huge. And it's really what we're going through, I think, with, the culture of the last couple thousand years and patriarchy and hierarchy, where, we're being told what to think, told what to do. And the higher you get, the more power you have, the more money you have, the more you have, you control those people underneath you. And with the goddess, what I've continually heard through the years, and what I've seen with my own eyes is the most important power is the power within. And it's
Mm,
not a power to control people. It's not a power to say you do this and they snap and they do that. But it's finding your authentic, what am I here to do? What am I good at? What makes me shine? What inspires me? And that to me, obviously a good mother sees that her children are all different and she recognizes what each of their talents is and she makes allowances for what they need, what they're challenged by. And that's sovereignty, and that's the world that we are just aching for right now.
right.
Wow. And our own sovereignty. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's the
Yeah.
will. I just have to show my 5 directions because it's kind of relevant. These are my 5 directions, and it's will, mind, body, heart, spirit. It goes counterclockwise, and each has a poetic meter that, sorry, I've got to figure this out. Each has a poetic meter that goes with it,
Oh,
and
wow.
And that's
and
an
each
owl.
has,
And that's an
it's an
owl on
owl.
there.
That's, yeah, that's the
Here's
owl
my
on.
here's my owl feather I just
Oh
found the
my
other day.
gosh,
Owls
how
have been
beautiful.
appearing in my life.
Oh, and this is the
Oh,
owl I found on the street in Brooklyn a couple of weeks ago.
oh my God.
I think it might be like a dog toy. It's a little bedraggled, but I have it on my desk. I just love it.
Oh my God. We have some kind of message coming through right now.
Yes, wisdom.
Being amidst struggle, a little bit draggled, right? Yeah.
There we
Exactly.
go.
Even
She's
goddesses suffer,
persevering.
right?
Yeah.
That's right.
Yeah, yeah. But anyway, in the 5 directions, there is the will, mind, body, heart, spirit. And I find the will is the one that always gets left out in this culture, which I think is connected to your sovereignty, the will,
Mm,
which is, in the freedom of I think in indigenous or oral based societies, matricultural societies, there's a sense of individual freedom and sovereignty. And so you don't have these people like telling other people what to do. You might have other kinds of, responses when things are wrong, but it's not that controlling thing.
I
And
think
it's different.
oh, good.
Well, I just want to say it's different than in our culture that's like hyper independent because even though there's this idea of sovereign selfhood, they're still totally embedded in community and understanding responsibility to one another as community members. And I think
Right.
Exactly.
that's definitely the fracture we have in our
Very
society.
good
We've
And
point.
they
lost
Yeah,
that.
almost come
it's not
together.
right.
Yeah.
It's not
Yeah.
inclusive. And that's something I've seen from the beginning is I can tell like that's something I really haven't seen a whole lot of in the general public is women who have found that sense and they're holding it in their womb, their
Yeah,
sacral, right there. They almost walk differently. They
that's
they
right.
just have this sense of power. And again, it's not, I'm gonna do whatever I want, screw you. No, it's just being very comfortable and settled in who you are.
And that might
Mm,
come from community partly, right? When you're fully held in
Definitely.
community and all those
Yeah,
depths and all those
definitely.
angles of yourself. Yeah.
And
wow.
when you're part of a community and you know what your part is in that community.
Yeah,
Right.
and they're not going anywhere, you're not going anywhere. Then you can be more sovereign in yourself independently because you can let go of having to constantly stay on guard for the people around you, which I've sort of felt like my whole
I
life I've been forced to do that. Like,
I say
where's
that so
everybody? Am
many
I alone?
times.
What's going on? Because we're so alone. What?
I say that so many times. Can you imagine if you didn't have to worry about how you're going to pay your bills, a roof over your head, food to eat, and people around that care about you? What would you do with
Yeah,
your life?
exactly. Yeah.
That's the question for everybody at home. It's a rhetorical question for you all to consider. Um,
And that's the beauty of what we need to build. I mean, that would free everybody. Because think how many people every day spend so much time and energy on those four things. And if we freed that up, like the
Yeah.
goddess can do, what can we build?
It's true. Like
mm,
even spending a couple of days with a friend who comes to visit or whatever, I'm a totally different person at the end of it. Like I've spent time with women who's like see me, for a couple of days, and just imagine living that way.
mm.
I think whatever the downsides, it's something I'm so committed to trying in my life, and I'm 69 years old, so we have to like get going. Somebody please make
We're
this
planting the seeds.
possible.
Planting the seeds. Well, we have about 5 more minutes, so I just want to give both of you an opportunity to say whatever you wants to be said, whatever you want to express in the next couple of minutes.
Mother of darkness, mother of light, earth beneath us, soul in flight. That's all I'm doing. That's all I do.
Oh, it's beautiful.
Oh, thank you, Caryn. Wow.
Earth beneath us, soul in flight. That's what. Wow.
Mm. Well, I
That's
really appreciate both of you coming on here and your passion, and your drive and your commitment to not just cultivating and creating this, but speaking to it, like speaking to the moment, the urgency of the moment. Um, I gave you the option to talk about anything that you wanted to talk about. You could have come on and just only talked about the Divine Feminine app, for example, but you wanted to talk about this thing, you know, that I think that the Divine Feminine app is the vehicle for,
It's
because
here to help it.
yeah,
That's
yeah. And so like instead of like promoting your app, it's really about this is what we need for the healing of the society and moving forward if we want to move forward. Like it's a beautiful gift, because it's a big, it's humongous. This thing is like really big for us to take on and
right.
tackle, I
And we
guess.
should mention that for anyone who is interested in this local web, that is actually a free part of the app anyway, isn't it right, Karen?
it's free. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, so
And
it's
that's what
totally free to
I was going
list
to say. The
yourself in the
particulars.
community as wanting to do this.
I'm also very settled these days in that, yeah, just just put it out there. And if it's supposed to be and it's supposed to come, the ways happen. That's what's been going on for me personally last decade.
Mm, yeah. Yeah. And you've brought so
And
many
if she
incredible
slaps you in the face and says no,
redirect.
go a different direction.
Can I see your t-shirt? Is
Oh,
that,
this is Dale Allen. Yeah, I
oh,
wanted to wear this
beautiful.
one. It didn't fit me, so I had to cut it, but in our right minds.net.
Beautiful.
And that's a, yeah,
Wow.
Love
yeah.
And
it.
that's the
And
Nile goddess, the Venus of Willendorf, and who's the other one? Oh, is that, oh, that one. Oh, I know that one. I have this one on my,
Is that
I
the
want to
one
say
on
it's
the right?
Anana, but I'm
is
not
that
sure.
this
It's
one
hard to
here?
kind of see.
Is that the
It's
same one or
no,
no?
no,
I
it's
will
one of
get it.
those.
I
It's
will
one
get
of
it from
the
Dale.
flying goddesses from the Levant, I think. I think.
Oh, okay.
Dale's told me a lot of times,
And these
and
are
I
my
keep
earrings.
forgetting, but I'll get it.
I also have my
Beautiful.
Venuses on.
Nice.
And this is
I
given to me
almost,
by a friend in a women's circle I had once. She made it for me. This is
oh,
also the Nile
beautiful.
goddess, right? Like on your t-shirt. So we have
Oh,
two of
yeah.
the same. Oh, I
Oh,
have
maybe the Nile
two out of the
goddess.
three, right?
Anyway,
Yeah.
okay. I'm
What were
sorry.
you
I'm
saying?
looking at
Wait,
the,
you were showing us something.
no, no, I don't have anything. I was going to wear my little Cretan bee earrings today, but I forgot. So, but they're with me in spirit. Um,
You're in a beautiful place. Where are you? It's so gorgeous.
I'm at a
Annie, she's
friend's house.
opening the circle. Shh.
Wow.
I can't tell people my location. Every once in a while.
Undisclosed location.
Yeah.
Very secret, undisclosed location.
That's right. Okay, Andrea has a class she's teaching today, so we have to wrap up. But this has been wonderful. I can't wait to speak to both of you again, here and privately, obviously. And And Annie, we're going to be seeing you again in a couple weeks with another guest, Samantha Zipporah, I think. We're going to be talking about the sacred dimensions of abortion. Looking forward to that. And so, again, thank you so much. And everybody at home, go check out the Divine Feminine app. Go check out Annie's work, and leave comments. Please like, please share. All the things, all the things. Thank you so much. Thank you to both of you for coming. Thanks, Andrea, as usual.
Thank you
And
both so much.
Thanks,
This was really
ladies.
a
Yeah,
delight. Thank you.
lovely. Thank you.
yeah. Okay, and we'll see you next time. Bye.
Bye.